Hello and welcome to this hands-on lesson. I'm going to show you in this lesson how to create a VPC flow log. Now I have launched an EC2 instance into my North Virginia region and I'm going to attach a VPC flow log to that. Now you know how to create your instances, so just launch an EC2 instance into the North Virginia region and then we'll carry on from there. So the first thing I need to do here is in Amazon S3 I'm going to create a bucket. And this is going to be where I want to log the information. So I'm just going to call this my flow log, put a dash, and then I'm just going to put in some random characters because I just want to make sure this is unique. Region, I'm just going to leave that as US East 1. And then let's just come down and create the bucket. So that's worked. We now have our flow log bucket. So the next thing to do is we're going to come over, and I have a running EC2 instance, so just make sure you've got an instance running. Doesn't matter what it is, but just for the purposes of keeping your bills low or non-existent, use a T2 micro with the Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is just go to networking, scroll down, find the Elastic Network interface and click on that. And then we can see here we've got flow logs. So I'm going to choose flow logs. I've got no flow logs at this stage, so let's create a flow log. I'll just call this my flow log -ec2. You can choose a filter here to filter out what type of traffic you want to record. So this will just show traffic that's accepted. We could choose rejected or all. I'm going to leave it as all. The maximum aggregation interval is the duration which a flow of packets is captured and aggregated. So we're going to make this nice and high resolution. So let's change that to 1 minute. Now we're going to send this to an S3 bucket. You can choose CloudWatch logs and we need our bucket ARN. So just popping back here, all I'm going to do is go into this bucket here, come across to properties, copy the Amazon resource name, come back, paste that in, and I can leave the remaining settings. Let's just create that flow log. So that's done. And that's going to take a few minutes to start generating some information. And we can help that by actually connecting to this resource. So what I'm going to do is let's just go back up and I'm going to collect the public IP address and then I'm going to connect to the instance. So I'm connecting into this instance and I've successfully connected, so that's great. And let's try and just do something like ping google.com. So it's just sending some outbound data as well. So that's great. Now I'm going to stop that and I'm literally just going to exit, and then I'm going to come back and actually try and ping the IP of the instance. Now I'm getting a request timeout because I don't have an entry to allow ICMP from the internet to my instance. So hopefully I've generated a bit of information to look at there. Let's go back over to the console. So back in the console, I'm just going to wait for that information to be logged. And while that's happening, we're actually going to head over to VPC. Now let's have a look at where we can create flow logs. If we go to your VPCs, choose a VPC, and then you can go Actions, Create Flow Log. So that's where you can create a flow log at the VPC level. The other thing you can do is go to Subnets, choose one of your subnets, and then Actions, Create Flow Log. And again, you can just create a flow log at the subnet level. So those are the 3 different places that you can create your flow log. Now let's head back over to S3 and we're going to have a look and see if we've got any data yet. Back in S3, let's go back to objects and let's just give this bucket a refresh, and we don't have anything yet. So the best thing to do now is just wait a little while, and you might want to generate some more data if you're interested in seeing what information gets logged. But you might have to wait a few minutes for the information to be aggregated and actually put into this bucket. So let's give that a while and then come back once we've got some data. So after a few minutes, I ended up with this AWS logs folder. And if I go in there, I've got to drill down. We've got the account number, VPC flow logs, the region, and then it's going to be the year and the date. And then finally you get down to the actual files. Now I've got quite a lot because we did choose 1 minute, so it's quite a lot of files that you get with a bit less data in each one. So it's up to you to choose, the 10 or 1 minute aggregation. Now what I've done is I've downloaded a few of these and let's have a look at what they look like. I've opened the files in Visual Studio Code, and so what we can see here, at the very top it tells you what the various columns are. So we've got version, the account ID, the interface ID, the source and destination IP addresses, source and destination ports, the protocol, the packets, the bytes, the start, the end, the action, reject or accept, and then the log status. So as you can see, there's lots of rejects in here. Now this is a public facing EC2 instance. There's always going to be things hitting an EC2 instance, many of which are going to get rejected. We can see some public IP addresses, but we can't see the public IP of the actual instance itself, because remember, the Internet Gateway actually performs network address translation, so the EC2 instance and its ENI do not see that address. But we can see quite a lot of information here, and we'll see if we look at the protocol number, that's this number here. Number 1 actually corresponds to ICMP, so that's echo requests. So there are various echo requests going around, and most of them are getting rejected because we don't have ICMP enabled for this particular security group. So there's quite a bit of data there, and I've got a few of these files. Very similar stuff. Mostly we're getting rejects, lots and lots of rejects. But you can see we do have some accepts here. So what are the protocols that have been accepted? 123 is the network time protocol. That's been accepted. I can't see any others on that page. Let's go to another flow log and let's see if we've got some more accepts in here. So these are mostly rejects as well. In fact, let's go back to the first one and just search for accept. And I'm pretty sure there should be a few. So here we go. We've got an accept here from the internet, and that will be my connection request. So we can see port 22. So that's SSH, and that's clearly being accepted. And that's where we established our SSH connection to the EC2 instance. And then further down here, we have some more accepts as well. So there you go, just wanted to show you what this is all about. There's quite a bit of data there, and by the way, that's going to fill up quite quickly, so if you leave it running, you're going to find that you get quite a lot of entries in there. So maybe you want to stop it and just have a look through the log files, familiarize yourself with the information. Now clearly, searching through log files like this is not a great way of actually spending your time to find information. So what most people would do is they would then use something like Amazon Athena, which is a service that you can run SQL queries against data. So with Amazon Athena, you can then actually run a SQL query and find any specific patterns that you need to look for. So that's a much more intelligent way of actually using log files and finding the data you need. Have a look on the AWS website. They do have some good instructional articles showing you how to use Amazon Athena to search flow logs. So that's all I wanted to show you now. Back in the EC2 console, what I'm going to do is go to networking, come down to my network interface, go to flow logs, and then I'm just going to delete my flow log. Now, of course, if you delete the instance, it's going to have the same effect. There's not going to be a flow log left behind. So that will delete the flow log. That will stop it from collecting information, but the S3 bucket will still have that data there. That won't be deleted. So it's up to you to then go back in and delete that data when you're finished with it. So that's it for this lesson. Hope that was useful. I'll see you in the next lesson.